Welcome to Dancing Water. Enix and I welcome you. My name is Susan, and thank you for joining me for Dancing Water daily practice. Today, restorative yoga. This is a practice of yoga that is designed to allow your body to unwind itself. So it's not about stretching or strength, but rather creating an environment where we can relax on purpose and allow our nervous systems to calm, particularly in times of stress. But it's a healthful practice no matter when you do it. Today, what I'd like to anchor our attention on are the sensations of sinking and floating. When I started practicing restorative a little less than a year ago, I noticed these two dynamics were always happening when I was aware of this practice, when I was allowing myself to really give and sink into the supports that were under me and also float effortlessly. So there's this sense of effortlessness that I am inviting you to cultivate during our simple practice today. I often have the image of floating on a raft in a pool, and so if that image helps, use that as well. You'll only need a few props today. Simply 2 bath towels. So we'll have 2 towels that will be rolled in a roll. So I'll show you that roll. If you take a bath towel and fold it in half like this, and then take the 2 edges and roll from there. So roll it is pretty tight because you want it to be a pretty firm roll. But I like to roll it from the edges so that it's a smoother roll like that. So 2 of those, and a carpeted floor. A yoga mat can work, but I want you to be on something soft so that you can feel this sense of sinking into the support of the floor. Some kind of eye covering is really helpful. I like to use a small hand towel that I can use either as a little pillow under my head or as a covering to my eyes. And then as an option, you could use a blanket, and depending on how warm either your body or the room is, you may want to use it for warmth. But I'm going to show some variations to give some sinking from above your body. So let's just begin. Taking yourself to a comfortable seat. If you'd like to sit on a chair, or if you'd like to sit on your towel or a pillow, you're welcome to do that. And just take a moment to let yourself arrive here. Arriving in your body and arriving in this time that you have so generously given yourself. And taking a couple of deep, conscious breaths and feeling the float and the sink of the breath. Just breathing deep and even. And feel how this sensation of floating and sinking is an integral part of your experience in your body. And then just take your hands and squeeze them in and release them. Just give them a squeeze and release. You can do it with your breath. Inhale, squeeze. Exhale, release. And then add your shoulders and your arms. Squeeze in and release. Sensing your back, Squeeze in and release. Using your face too, you can squeeze in and release. Squeeze in, feeling your biceps and the backs of your arms, and release. And now squeeze your whole body. Squeeze yourself in, inhale, and then sink and release. 2 more times, just squeeze in and release. And 1 more, squeeze in as you breathe in and release. So let's take our first posture using our props. I call these long towel logs, and we're going to lie on a log. So make a T with your towels. Get out of my own way here. So this one here, the one that's going horizontally, is going to be for your for your knees. And then the longer one is going to be for your head and your spine. So lining yourself up here with your tailbone right at the base of your towel, and then very gently, and you may want to take your eye covering and have your blanket handy too. So eye covering can be used as eye covering or as a pillow. So let yourself come back in such a way that your head is resting on the towel log. And then take myself up this way. I want you to be able to see my whole body. So feeling yourself aligning your spine along the log, and then feeling the horizontal log under your knees. No cat under the knees, just the log. So just find yourself here and make any adjustments to the props that enhance your comfort. So just keep asking yourself, what would make me feel a little more comfortable? And then take your fingertips and let them float to the sky, lifting your shoulders up away from the log, and then gently sink down. Do that again. Let your fingertips float up as you inhale, and then exhale, let your elbows sink down. One more time. Float up and sink down. Just pause here for a moment, letting your toes flop out to the side, letting this external rotation of your thighs. And notice your arms. They can be in soft cactus like I have them now, or you can have them tee out parallel with the knee log. And you may notice that you are inclined to continue this breathing movement, inhaling and exhaling with your arms. Or maybe stillness feels right for you right now. And if you like, you can cover your eyes. Maybe let your palms sink into your eye sockets. Creating a shape or gentle movement with your body that enhances your awareness of your breath. And you might imagine yourself on a raft that's soft that you could sink into. And yet feeling your body floating effortlessly on the surface. So giving your weight over, releasing yourself into the shape and floating in the shape. Notice your ribs floating. On the gentle current of your breath. And if your blanket is handy, you could let it, just have it be folded and have it float on your rib cage. So just feel what that feels like to have the blanket both sinking into your body with a little bit of weight and also floating. Does that give you some additional feedback with your breath that deepens your connection? Notice where your mind goes. Sometimes when our bodies get still, the mind can get busy. Thinking is fine. It's totally normal. It's what your brain does. But see if you can let your mind, your brain, your thinking sink into sensation. Notice what's happening at your inner thighs, at the muscles around your throat. And then very gently bend your knees. Take your feet now to the log, the arches of your feet. Let them rest on the log. And then very gently roll to one side. Let your eye covering float off. Then use your top hand and slowly bring yourself back into upright and let your head float. So feel that sensation of your ears, your hair, your crown floating. And then slowly, moving slowly and deliberately between poses, making the transitions part of the practice. Set up your logs right next to each other, right in the middle of your space. And again, you can have your eye covering or use it as pillow. And we'll take a supported log bridge. So getting yourself onto your towel logs and rolling back and feeling your sacrum, the lowest part of your spine, supported by the logs. Take your feet a little wider than your hips and let your knees rest together. Now here for me, I like to have a little bit of lift in my head so that my chin can sink and the back of my head can lift, can float. And again, taking the weight of the blanket on your belly. And as the practice goes on, if your body begins to get cool, which is very normal and happens very often, you're welcome to open up your blanket and cover more of your body. You can also let your hands rest and give some extra weight here. Notice the long bones of your femur sinking into the hip sockets. Feel your feet sinking into the floor. Shoulder blades sinking into the soft support underneath. And then notice what's floating. Ribs, knees, nose. Can you let your forehead float? And you're welcome to stay right here in this shape if it feels super comfortable, like you could just stay here forever. Definitely do. But if you like, you can also let your toes float. Let your ankle joints float. Your heels float. And finding this plumb line from toes to hips so that there's no effort in holding your legs up and no stretch. So you can experiment. Like if I move my feet toward my face, I start to feel more effort. I start to feel more stretch. If I move my toes away from my face, again, I feel more effort, less stretch. So you want to find this place in the middle so your toes can literally, like helium balloons, float up. Feeling your eyeballs, your eyes sinking into the sockets, eyelashes and eyelids floating on the pools of your eyes. Notice what your hands are doing. Do they feel like they're sinking or floating? or both? What about your belly? Feel free at any time to let your feet come back to the floor, or if they're on the floor, to let them float. Movement is totally fine in these poses. Stillness is also welcome. If your feet are up, let the feet sink down and re-ground on the floor. Relaxing the hinge of your jaw and letting one hand come overhead. Draw your knees in and again, roll to one side and come up. And again, now letting your crown float. Give yourself a chance to reorient, letting different parts of you sink and different parts of you float. And for our last pose today, we're going to lie between two logs. So this is a Shavasana pose and or final resting pose. And you can do this either face up or face down. So I'm going to do it face down, but you can do the same setup if you don't, either way, whichever feels like it would feel good to you right now. So setting your logs parallel with each other and having your blanket handy. I'm going to have it draped along my low back. If you're turned the other way, you could have it draped anywhere on your body. So coming down and either way, placing your shoulders on the towel and then squeeze the towel logs against your body. Now arms can rest at the sides if that feels good. They can softly cactus. Your head can rest on one cheek, or you can make a little what do you call it? A little platform for your forehead. And rest this way. If you're on your back, the same goes for your arms. Let your arms find the best position for them. And then take your blanket, either folded for some weight or unfolded for some warmth. And let yourself sink and float. Really feeling the sensation of floating on a raft. Feeling the support and the softness underneath you. And feeling the effortlessness of the float. What can you sink? What can you let go of holding or clenching and pour into, sink into the support? And what can you float? Depending on what position you're in, are calf muscles sinking or floating? Are hips sinking or floating? Can you allow parts of your body to both sink and float at the same time? You're welcome to stay here as long as you like. You can either pause or turn off the recording and let yourself stay here. But if you're ready to close your practice, if you're on your back, gently roll to one side. If you're on your belly, take your palms right under your shoulders and slowly bring yourself onto all fours. Either way, push yourself up into some kind of seat. You can sit on your logs. That feels good. Just noticing the ripples of your practice in your body, in your breath, and in your mind. And if you have water or tea, just to close the practice with an intention to take something from this restoration, this floating and sinking, take something from this out into whatever is next for you today. Thank you for sinking and floating with me. Thank you, as always, for being part of the Dancing Water Daily community. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Go to Focus Pocus now for resources and schedules and for an easy way to connect with me. And the greatest gift is if you can share any practices that resonate with you, with anyone who you think would benefit. I'm so grateful for you. You matter. You make a difference. Take care of you. Mwah.